Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into something, well, pretty huge for .NET and DevOps folks. That's navigating the whole world of AI. It's moving so fast, right? So our aim here is really to cut through that noise, focus on what you actually need to know to stay competitive.
Exactly. We've looked at quite a bit of material trying to pull out the essential skills and knowledge, especially for those .NET and DevOps pros who are finding themselves on AI projects. Think of this as a curated look at the must-haves.
Okay, let's dive in then. First up, AI and machine learning basics. For those of us not, building neural nets daily, what are the core ideas we really need to grasp?
Right. So fundamentally, AI in this context is about getting machines to learn to make decisions. We often start with supervised learning. That's like teaching with labeled examples. Here's input, here's the right output, learn the pattern.
Okay, learning by example. Got it.
Then there's unsupervised learning. That's more exploratory. You give it data, but no labels, and it finds patterns, groupings, that kind of thing on its own.
Finding hidden structures.
Precisely. And neural networks, well, they're inspired by the brain, good for complex stuff like, say, image recognition. And NLP, natural language processing. That's all about machines understanding human language. Think chatbots, sentiment analysis.
Right, understanding text and speech.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of foundational concepts. The sources also brought up frameworks like TensorFlow, PyTorch, Scikit-learn. Why are these important for .NET developers?
Yeah, that's a great point. What's really interesting is how .NET apps can now sort of plug into these powerful AI frameworks. Even if you're primarily a C# developer, understanding what these can do is key. It lets you integrate pre-trained models, maybe build .NET wrappers or APIs that talk to systems using TensorFlow or PyTorch. It expands your toolbox, basically.
Okay, so it's about interoperability, leveraging existing AI power. Now, what about the .NET-specific tools? MLNet comes up a lot.
Yes, ML.NET. That's Microsoft's big play here. It's designed for .NET developers. The whole point is to let you build, train, and deploy machine learning models using C# or F# right within Visual Studio, within your existing environment.
So bringing ML into the familiar .NET world.
Exactly. Imagine adding, say, predictive features to your web app without having to become a Python guru overnight. It lowers that barrier to entry quite a bit.
That sounds really practical. And where does ASP.NET Core fit into this picture?
Well, once you have an AI model, how do people or systems actually use it? Often it's through a web app or an API, and that's where ASP.NET Core skills are vital. You're building that interface, that front door, if you will, to the AI model's predictions or capabilities.
Right, the connection point. The sources also mentioned Azure AI Services quite heavily. What's the takeaway there?
Azure AI Services are Microsoft's cloud offerings. Think of them as pre-built AI capabilities you can tap into. Azure Machine Learning is the big platform for the whole ML lifecycle, building, training, deploying, managing models at scale.
Okay, the end-to-end platform.
Yeah. Then you have cognitive services. These are like ready-made APIs for vision, speech, language understanding, things you can easily plug into your app. And bot services for building chatbots. For .NET devs, it's a fast way to add really sophisticated AI features without building from the ground up.
Got it. Cloud-powered AI building blocks. Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk DevOps. CI/CD pipelines, standard practice. How do they change when we're dealing with AI?
Yeah, that's where things get interesting. Traditional CI/CD is mostly about code changes, right? Build, test, deploy code. With AI, the model itself is a key artifact. So your pipeline needs more stages.
More stages? Like what?
Like stages for model training, which can take time and resources. Stages for evaluating the model, checking its accuracy, fairness, that kind of stuff. And then deploying the model, not just the code. Plus, you often have large data sets involved. It adds complexity.
Okay. So model training, evaluation, deployment, new steps. And what about containers? Docker, Kubernetes. How do they help with these AI models?
They're pretty crucial, actually. Docker containers give you a standard isolated environment. So your model, with all its dependencies, runs the same way everywhere. Dev, test, prod.
Right, solves the works on my machine problem.
Exactly. And Kubernetes then lets you manage and scale those containers. AI applications can be resource hungry, especially during prediction, or have variable loads. Kubernetes helps handle that scaling automatically and efficiently.
Makes sense. Reliability and scaling. What about infrastructure as code Terraform, Azure Resource Manager? Why mention those?
Because AI often needs specific, sometimes expensive infrastructure. Think GPUs for training, specialized storage. ISC tools let you define that infrastructure in code. So instead of clicking around in a portal, you script it.
Ah, automation for the setup.
Yeah, it makes provisioning fast, repeatable, consistent. It's really key for keeping AI development agile. You can spin up and tear down complex environments reliably.
Okay. Now, can't talk AI without talking data. What data management, data processing skills are becoming important here?
This is a big one. The sources rightly point towards data engineering skills becoming more necessary, even for developers and DevOps roles. You need to know how to get data, clean it, transform it into a format the ML models can actually use. That whole ETL process, extract, transform, load.
ETL. And data quality, too, I assume.
Absolutely. Garbage in, garbage out is especially true for ML. So data cleaning, pre-processing, that's vital. Familiarity with tools like Apache Spark for big data processing or maybe Azure Data Factory for automating these data pipelines is really valuable now.
Okay, handling the data flow and for storing it. What about databases?
Yeah, the database landscape is relevant too. Often the data for AI isn't neatly structured relational data, so NoSQL databases like MongoDB are often a good fit. They handle unstructured or semi-structured data. We'll think text documents, images, sensor readings.
Right, flexible data formats.
But traditional data warehouses still have a place, especially for storing the large historical data sets you might use for training or analysis. The choice really depends on the specific AI task and the data involved.
Got it. Finally, let's zoom out to the people side. Collaboration and communication. Why are these highlighted so much for AI?
Because AI projects are almost always team efforts, and often cross-functional ones. You've got data scientists who know the stats and algorithms deeply, you've got product managers focusing on the business need, and then you, the .NET and DevOps folks, building and deploying it. Bridging those worlds requires really good communication.
So speaking the different languages of data science, business, and engineering.
Exactly. And being able to explain what's going on. Strong documentation is important, what data was used, how the model works, its limitations. And just as crucial is being able to communicate the results, the insights, even the uncertainties to people who aren't AI experts, translating the tech into business value.
That makes perfect sense. It's about the whole team understanding each other in the output. Okay, this has been incredibly helpful. So to quickly recap, we covered understanding the core AML ideas, using .NET tools like ML.NET and Azure AI, adapting DevOps for models, handling the data side, and, crucially, the communication skills.
That's a good summary. And I think the overarching theme really is continuous learning. This field isn't standing still. For .NET and DevOps pros, being adaptable, curious, and willing to learn these new areas is absolutely fundamental.
Definitely. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. This blending of .NET, DevOps, and AI, it's more than just new tools. It really feels like a fundamental shift in how we build and deploy software. Maybe take a moment to think about how this convergence could open up completely new ways to innovate or solve problems right where you work. What new possibilities does it unlock?